Right now, a Madison woman charged with reckless homicide at the Waupun Correctional Institution is arrested. Why she was taken into custody. Plus, China says it will punch back with new retaliatory tariffs. What the administration is saying about the stock market's reaction and fears of an escalating trade war. This is News 3 Now at noon. And thank you so much for joining us today. I'm Arman Rahman. Josh is out today. Well, the search continues for two missing boaters in the Wisconsin River. The Wisconsin Dells Police Department says that a boat capsized around 4:30 yesterday afternoon just south of the Kilbourne Dam. As search efforts resumed this morning, police say additional resources have been requested to assist. Police say at least 3 people fell into the water, but 1 person swam safely to shore. The name of the 2 missing boaters have not been released at this time. Multiple rescue crews are assisting in the search using boats with sonar capabilities as well as using aerial and underwater drones. But there have been some challenges. Police say due to fast-moving currents, divers were not able to search for the missing boaters, and overnight search efforts were suspended because of darkness and unpredictable flow of the river. We will update you here on air and online at channel3000.com as we learn more. And a Madison woman was arrested after failing to appear in Dodge County Court Tuesday. A judge placed Janelle Hill on a $500 bond after she failed to appear in court for a review hearing on a charge of reckless homicide related to allegedly delivering drugs to an inmate of Waupun Correctional that led to that person's death. On June 8, 2022, an inmate was found in his cell acting erratically. He was taken to a medical unit where he later died. Balloons filled with cocaine and fentanyl were found in his intestines. It was determined the man died from the cocaine. The inmate was Hill's boyfriend. On June 7th, video appears to show Hill passing something to the man. They also had been in contact with each other on cell phones. The inmate's phone was found in his cell. Hill's arraignment is scheduled for May 20th. And the general manager of Madison Metro is stepping down. The move comes during months-long contract negotiations for Metro workers and following a string of attacks on bus drivers. Justin Stuenberg started at Metro in March of 2020. In those 5 years, he's led efforts like the rollout of electric fleet vehicles and the city's first bus rapid transit route. But within the past few months, the agency has faced service interruptions due to concerted driver actions and ongoing contract negotiations between the city and the union representing Metro workers. Stuenberg says staffing is actually right on track.
So we are essentially fully staffed. Many of those staffs are in training, so they're not in service, which obviously has some impact, but we are essentially fully staffed.
Stuenberg's last day will be May 30th. Madison Park Superintendent Eric Knapp will serve in his place while the city searches for a long-term replacement. The Teamsters Union is expected to release more information on contract negotiations later today. And the numbers are in for Dane County Annual's Driving Safety Initiative. From March 14th to the 23rd, Dane County Sheriff's Office and all Dane County Police Departments looked for drivers running red lights or stop signs. And during the 2-week campaign, agencies reported more than 1,300 traffic citations, over 1,300 verbal and written warnings, and 29 arrests. In total, officers made more than 1,700 traffic stops during that campaign. Well, get this, a quiet weekend ahead weather-wise. First Warn meteorologist Blaze Keller has a look at your certified most accurate forecast. Like the sound of that, Blaze.
Yes, I think a lot of us do, especially after a kind of active earlier this week with those severe thunderstorms and tornado warnings. Thankfully, nothing touched down. But yes, a nice quiet weekend ahead. We will see some showers move in as we head further into your evening. By about 6, 7 o'clock further south you go, the better chance you're going to have of those showers this evening. They're going to primarily stick around overnight and then wrap up as we go into the mid-morning hours on Saturday, and then we remain more partly sunny as we go into your Saturday. So don't make any indoor plans this weekend. It is going to be slightly cooler, but we will be dry for the most part. Currently, temperatures are sitting in the mid to upper 40s. We're nearing 50 in the Dells as well as in Black River Falls. We're at 48 in Watertown as well as in Waukesha, Middleton, and Verona. We're at 47 in Madison, 48 in Sun Prairie and Deerfield. So we're nearing the 50s. The cloud cover is going to make it a little bit more difficult, but we will probably get into those low 50s later this afternoon. We'll eventually settle into the 30s tonight with that chance for light to moderate rain as we go into the evening hours. We are tracking a bit of a wintry mix to end your weekend and kick off our next work week. We'll time that out and talk about possible snow totals in the full forecast.
All right, Blaze, thank you so much. And Wall Street opened sharply lower again as China announced new retaliatory measures in response to President Trump's latest tariffs. On Thursday, the markets experienced the largest single-day drop since the COVID-19 pandemic. Natalie Brand has the latest from the White House.
China announced Friday it will hit the U.S. with a 34% across-the-board tariff on U.S. goods next week, as the Trump administration's new reciprocal tariffs are set to take effect.
We need to get back to a time where we're a country that can make things, and to do that, we have to reset the global order of trade.
Secretary of State Marco Rubio, traveling for NATO meetings, dismissed the stock market slumping.
Ultimately, the markets, as long as they know what the rules are going to be moving forward, and as long as that's set and you can sustain where you're going to be, the markets will adjust.
Among Americans worried, farmer John Boyd Jr.
Other countries are going to start to look for different places to start to buy soybeans and corn and wheat. Brazil is right behind us in production.
President Trump signaled he's open to making trade deals.
Tariffs give us great power to negotiate.
As the White House tries to downplay the fallout, top Democratic lawmakers are also questioning the administration's move to fire the head of the National Security Agency and U.S. Cyber Command.
The protection of our own source and method.
CBS News has learned General Timothy Haas, seen here testifying on Capitol Hill, was ousted Thursday. His firing follows President Trump's Oval Office meeting with controversial right-wing personality Laura Loomer. She posted on social media this morning that President Trump needs an NSA director he trusts. Natalie Brand, CBS News, the White House.
And CBS News has learned at least 6 staffers with the National Security Council were also fired earlier Thursday. When asked by reporters, President Trump downplayed Loomer's influence on the firings and said his administration is, quote, always letting go of people. Well, Signalgate is about to enter a new chapter. The Defense Department announced it will review Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth's use of Signal while discussing last month's military strikes in Yemen. Acting Inspector General Stephen Stebbins wrote a letter to Hegseth saying the goal of this investigation will be to determine if Hegseth and others complied with protocol while using the commercial messaging app. This probe will also look into whether Hegseth was in line with classification requirements. Top officials previously said the information shared in those messages was not classified. And the IRS says fewer Americans have filed their federal taxes at this point in the filing season compared to last year. More people have also requested extensions. As of March 21st, the IRS had received nearly 1 million fewer tax returns than had gotten in the same period last year. Experts say the drop by itself is not necessarily a concern. It's also not unusual. But this year's drop comes amid concerns about possible declines in revenue collection. There are also concerns including disruptive leadership changes and internal conflicts with Elon Musk's Department of Government Efficiency. And the Social Security Administration is set to cut its technology team by nearly 1/3. It's part of a large-scale reduction in force across the federal government. The move comes as the agency's complex and delicate computer systems are crashing more often. The office had about 3,200 employees, but it's already lost hundreds of experienced workers due to retirement and separation incentives. Well, coming up, a surge of layoffs in March. What fueled the widespread firings last month? Plus, now that the auto tariffs have gone into effect, what the Ford Motor Company says it's doing with some of its model vehicles.
More than $2 trillion of the U.S. stock market's value was wiped out Thursday, a day after President Trump unveiled his sweeping tariffs on imported goods. Banks, retailers, clothing, airlines, and technology companies were among the hardest hit. In a report, Fitch Ratings head of U.S. economic research wrote that with the trade war, quote, many countries will likely end up in recession. The Ford Motor Company announced that it would sell select models at the employee discount price. The promotion was unveiled the same day a new 25% U.S. tariff on foreign vehicles took effect. Layoffs across the U.S. surged last month with more than 275,000 job cuts. That's according to placement firm Challenger Gray and Christmas. The widespread firings were fueled in part by the Trump administration's push to reduce the federal government workforce. That's your CBS News Money Watch report. For more, log on to cbsmoneywatch.com. At the CBS Broadcast Center, I'm Jesse Mitchell.
And not a good day for the stock market. The Dow is down 1,654 points. The Nasdaq down 810, and the S&P 500 is down 261. Our call for action volunteers are in the building, taking your consumer complaints and taking action on your behalf. You can call for action at 608-270-2833 or submit a claim anytime at channel3000.com/call for action. Well, up next, a look at today's ag prices, plus Blaze returns with the quiet weekend forecast. Then later on Live at 4, the Dane County Farmers Market starts up next weekend. We'll chat with the market manager on some of the new things to expect this year. Welcome back. Pam is out of the radio barn for today, so here are your farm numbers. Well, keeping two giant pandas well-fed is no small task. The new residents at the National Zoo, Bao Li and Xing Bao, eat a lot of bamboo, up to 100 pounds a day. A good chunk of that grows outside Washington, D.C. at the Smithsonian Conservation Biology Institute in Front Royal, Virginia. Photojournalist Parrish Smith takes us there for an up-close look at harvesting bamboo for the pandas.
Pandas cannot survive without bamboo. That is in their native habitat. That is any place where you find them in a zoo or in managed care. Giant pandas are obligate for bamboo. Pandas have evolved with bamboo as their main diet ingredient. And so even though their GI tract is set up like a carnivore, they have evolved to eat bamboo. When they're free ranging, bamboo is 98%, 99% of their entire diet.
We gather different amounts for the giant pandas in DC. Right now we're gathering piece count, which is the individual amount of pieces of bamboo that we need for the next couple of days.
Bamboo is a grass like we're standing on, except it has a more well-developed stem or culm, the thick part of the bamboo at the bottom. Pandas will change their preferences throughout the year for the leafy part or the hard stem part.
When we go and cut for pandas, this is literally, we're making their food more or less, and we bring it back to them.
When we trim down the pieces, it makes it more manageable for the animals that are at the zoo.
Bamboo doesn't have a lot of nutrients or energy in it, so it's relatively low protein, but one of the things that it does have a lot of is fiber. They're eating a highly fibrous plant and extracting relatively little from it. So the way that they make a living is just by volume. That's the reason why we're feeding them so much.
Usually when it gets pretty full, we'll get on top and tamp it down so that we can fit more on. And
Bao Li and Xing Bao, from a nutrition standpoint, obviously we just want to make sure that they eat. If we get nutrition right, it spares so many other resources to do things. Nutrition is one of those few things that touches every single animal every day. So if we get nutrition right, then veterinary care becomes easier.
And while the National Zoo's giant pandas consume the bulk of the bamboo, red pandas, gorillas, and Asian elephants also enjoy eating some of that. That sounded like a good snack there, didn't it, Blaze?
Hey, it sounded like it was full of fiber.
Yeah.
And who doesn't need fiber or more fiber in their diets? The pandas certainly don't. They're eating all that bamboo. Here in southern Wisconsin, where I don't think we have a lot of bamboo growing, we are going to watch as showers move in later this evening, but we dry out by the time we go into the mid to late morning hours on your Saturday. Sunday, we could see the return of a wintry mix. So let's jump ahead to that wintry mix chance on Sunday evening. We're going to watch as a clipper system moves out of Canada and primarily stays to our east. So we're going to get the tail end of it. This is not going to be a lot in the way of snow, but watch as those flurries and maybe some light to moderate snow activity moves on through. Heaviest snow is likely going to fall across western parts of Michigan, especially as those winds turn off of Lake Michigan, creating that lake effect snow in parts of northern Michigan and then back into the lower portion of the mitten there. So in terms of our snow, what are we looking at? Likely less than an inch closer to Lake Michigan, maybe a pocket of 1 to 2 inches towards Fond du Lac. Sheboygan, this may move slightly towards the south or to the north, but we're not seeing widespread 1 to 2. This is likely going to even melt by the time we go further into your Tuesday because temperatures are expected to stay above freezing. This is just another pull down of that cooler air, enough to get some snowflakes moving across southern Wisconsin. Over the next 7 days, we are anticipating about a quarter to maybe a half an inch of rain at best. So we're going to be drying out, or at least staying more dry than wet over the next 7 days, which is some good news. We've really made some great improvements on the ongoing drought that we carried over from last year into this year. We could always use a little bit more rain, but we also don't want to oversaturate the ground. We want the ground to absorb the water and then add a little bit more. So we'll add some rain snow mix there Sunday night into Monday, a light shower to Tuesday, and then as we look ahead into Wednesday, Thursday of next week, again, a scattered shower is going to be possible. A lot of that moisture is actually going to stay off to our south. They're gearing up for another couple days, potentially, of not only flooding, rain, but also severe weather as well. Back at home, though, we're staying pretty seasonal, upper 40s to low 50s, underneath mostly cloudy conditions. Further south, and especially further south and east, you're going to have that chance for showers as we head into the evening hours, continuing overnight into your Saturday morning. I mentioned that the south is getting ready for another round of severe weather. Parts of Arkansas, as well as Missouri and southern Illinois, already impacted by some very dangerous tornadoes, to say the least, underneath an enhanced and even moderate risk for severe weather this afternoon. That threat for severe weather continues to stay primarily in the same spot, but now maybe more into parts of Alabama, as well as Mississippi, Arkansas, and Louisiana. That continues to push off towards the Atlanta region as we go into your Sunday. So if you've got friends or family that have already been impacted or in the path of our next round of severe weather, make sure that they are staying weather aware, especially this evening with that enhanced and moderate risk for severe weather. Speaking of severe weather, next week is our Severe Weather Awareness Week here in Wisconsin. That statewide tornado drill occurring on April 10th this year. 2 tests, 1:45 and 6:45. That is a good time to practice, or at least if you don't have one, get a safety plan in place so that you and your family know where to go and what to do in the event of a tornado warning. We just had some severe weather, thankfully no touchdowns, but we are beginning to enter into our severe weather season. 50s through the weekend. We'll ignore the upper 30s on Monday because we are back into the 50s by Wednesday, 60s Friday into that following weekend. So a nice little warm up to end next week.
It's easy for you to say we're going to ignore the upper 30s. I want to feel that, Bryce.
That's right. I'm going to be in Japan, so you guys can deal with it.
Yeah. Okay. Very easy for you to say. All right. All right. Thanks so much, Blaze. And up next, let's see what Howard is working on in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen.
Today, we're wrapping up our week of international food favorites with a dish that's off the charts good. So grab a fork and join us. What a week we've had sharing our international food favorites with you. Today, we're making a dish that I recently fell in love with. It's called buttered chicken. It's an Indian-inspired dish with a creamy sauce that's comfort at its best. Let me show you what's in it. With a name like buttered chicken, it only makes sense that we start by melting some butter in a skillet. To that, we add a chopped onion, and after a bit, we add some garlic and let it cook for a while. Then we melt more butter in a large pot. Now we add some tomato sauce, along with some heavy cream, turmeric, salt, ground red pepper, and a bit of something called garam masala. In case you're not familiar with garam masala, it's a spice blend that we can find in most grocery stores. After our sauce simmers for a bit, we'll add our onions and some chunked up chicken that we've roasted in the oven. Once all the flavors come together, serve this over some cooked rice and you're good to go. And after your first forkful, I have a pretty good feeling you're gonna be hooked. The recipe for our easy butter.
Well, that has made me hungry, and I don't want my peanut butter jelly sandwich now for lunch. We are looking at a quiet weekend overall. Some showers move in tonight. Not everybody will see them. Light to moderate rain showers, and then we look ahead to those showers really ending as we go into the morning hours on your Saturday, leaving us with partly sunny conditions and 50s both Saturday and Sunday. Later Sunday night into early Monday, we deal with a light rain snow mix. We're looking at about a less than an inch total and a little bit cooler to start off our next work week. But then we're in the 40s Tuesday, 50s by Wednesday, 60s by Friday.
Have a good weekend. We'll see you on Live at 4.